Hey gang. Um I was going to be taking this week off for Thanksgiving because my daughter's off from school and my wife's parents are in town with us for the whole week. But I kind of wanted to come on for a minute and just talk about something. I didn't make an announcement that I was taking a week off because while I know I do joke around about the millions and millions of fans and viewers this show has, I know it's only like 5 or 10 views per video, so whatever. But I wanted to come on and just kind of talk about something that happened this week. Got a text from a buddy of mine, a young man named Tim Laddie, who's a comic book artist as well. He's currently working on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures comic book, so go out and check it out. Um, Pick up a copy. I think they're on issue 2 now. But yeah, pick it up. It's a cool book. But yeah, he sent me a text saying that Jason David Frank had died, and possibly by suicide. And it sucked because he's a few years younger than me, so he like really grew up on Power Rangers. But I would watch it too. I was a teenager when it came out, um, so I would I caught some. I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't really know what it was. It was like in the background, some like at a restaurant, at a Bennigan's actually. I do remember that, and uh, and I just see like them fighting, like some Megazord or something, but there's no volume, and like in my head for some reason I just heard like Gwar playing, and was like, yeah, this would be like a perfect Gwar video because it was like kind of cheesy rubbery costume aliens and stuff like that. Um, but like I was still familiar enough with the show to where I knew Tommy was Green Power Ranger. And so fast forward years later, I was set up at a comic convention called MechaCon, which was mostly an anime convention, but I figured I'd go and check it out. A couple of friends of mine went there, said that wasn't too bad, and so I go there, and it was a small show, but they'd have like a couple of anime guests and stuff. But one of the people that was gonna be there was Jason David Frank. It was kind of right when he was starting, I guess, like a comeback tour. This was the first con I remember seeing him at, and I was like, oh, weird. All right, this dude from you know child actor coming back. It's kind of weird. But then like he shows up and he's all jacked and he's got like a green streak in his hair. And and yeah, no, but there were a bunch of people like lined up and stuff. And at first like I was kind of like, oh, it was just has been dude or whatever. But he was like really nice to everyone that was there. And then he even came over to my booth. Like I was set up, I was probably about like 15 feet away from him and stuff. And he comes by, and I had like a whole rack of or a whole wall of like prints that I had. And so he comes by and like he kept eyeballing one, and he comes over, and it was like this Catwoman print that I had. She's like kind of laying on the ground and like about to strike sort of pose, and he bought it, and I was like, wow, that's cool. Green Power Ranger just bought one of my prints. That's always neat. And for all I know, he could just do that at every show as just a kind of you know a way to look cool or look good, or you know blend in with the regular folks. But I like to imagine that he took it home, had it framed, had it placed, right above the mantle of his fireplace. And whenever girls would come by, he would just, he'd show them various uh, classic works of art that he had on his wall, and then he'd get to the pride of his collection, the Catwoman print, and there was like lights on it and all this stuff, and it's like, and once the girls saw that, it was just game over. Um, so that's the fantasy I have in my head about that. So I'm sure that's how it was, And then they'd lay on like his bearskin rug and just look up at it and talk about it. And then like a year later, we're at a Wizard World show, and Laddie and I were sharing a table, and Jason David Frank was there, and he's like about 30 feet away, just like walking by along the wall, and we see him, we're like, oh, there he is. And I just go like, JDF, and he just looks at me and goes like, what's up, buddy? Total generic response. And I was turning to my boy, and I'm like, you hear that? I'm his buddy. We're buddies. So in my head, where I like to fantasize about things and play things up more than they are, we're buddies. We're best buds. But yeah, so it really kind of sucked to hear that, he'd committed suicide. A young man of 49 years old. But, I mean, who can say why people do that? Being in the whole punk rock scene, you lose a lot of friends to suicide. I mean, hell, even my own dad committed suicide when I was like 15 years old. Called me up right before he did it. Kind of hinted at it, but he also used to pull that stuff on my mom when they were together, kind of like for an attention thing. So I didn't know if it was part of that, so I didn't really give into it. And then a few hours later, his sister showed up at my house with tears in her eyes and told me what had happened. So, yeah. It was for real. But I had to struggle really hard not to let that get to me, because, it'd be normal to think like, oh, it was my fault, or what could I have done? But if someone's going to do it, they're going to do it, and it's not your fault. And even if you stop them one time, if they're determined, they can do it again. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Sorry. You should still try, but if someone does it, it's still not your fault. So don't ever think that, to everyone who's watching this. But yeah, no, it sucks. The dude was really cool, and I remember seeing JDF doing like karate instructions for kids at conventions. Yeah, he was just always really nice. Don't have anything bad to say about the guy. I don't know anyone who does. So that just sucks. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. But yeah, so this just hit an awkward wall, and I probably shouldn't have made this video, but I did. So, but yeah, that's it for now.